Welcome back to Love, Sex, and Money. It's Christine Regan Lake here. Good to be back and good to have you here. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to do that. I'm trying to get my message out to those who want and need to hear it. And don't forget to hit the bell button so you can be notified when I upload new content, because I'm trying to always be uploading new valuable content that people may find of interest. Okay, so what do I want to talk about today? Today, I want to talk about the 5 disciplines of an extraordinary relationship. And I don't know how many of you like to people watch, but I can definitely be a people watcher. I love observing couples in how they interact and connect with each other. And to be honest with you, I'm sometimes quite appalled at how disrespectful people can be to each other, to supposedly the person that they love, and the way and the numerous ways in which they will disregard or insult or just be disrespectful to the person that is either their husband or wife or their boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever. And so, for me, love is like the highest value that I have, and it comes before everything else. And for me, the idea of having anything less than an extraordinary relationship is not of interest to me. I'm not interested in mediocre love. That's not worth my time. That's not to the standard that I demand for myself and my life. And, because if you're going to settle for mediocrity in your love life, Jesus, wow, love, and your intimate partner is like one of the most valuable and nourishing and fulfilling relationships in your life. And if you're not going to have a standard of excellence, and hold yourself accountable and have a standard for what you want in your intimate relationship, geez, it's like, I just can't even fathom that. But to be honest with you, a lot of people don't. And a lot of people don't because they're not consciously co-creating their intimate relationship. They're kind of just on autopilot. They're probably treating their partner in the same way in which they saw their parents treat their partner. And they're really just working off of triggered reactions instead of a conscious decision to hold their relationship as something sacred, something to be cherished, something to be invested in, right? Like, your relationship is only as good as the amount of energy and time and effort you're willing to put into it. And it has to be on both ends, right? Like, one person can't carry a relationship. Both people have to want it. Both people have to be investing in it. Both people have to share that same standard. If one person has a standard of wanting an extraordinary relationship and the other person is kind of more unconscious and reactionary mode, and who is more interested in protecting their ego and in being right, that's not the ideal scenario for co-creating an extraordinary relationship. So what are the 5 disciplines of having an extraordinary relationship? Well, the very first one is that you have to choose unconditional love, right? Now, unconditional love, what that means is that it's unconditional, right? Like, it's not, I'll love you if you give me this. I'll love you if you treat me this way. I'll love you if you act the way in which I want you to act, as long as you stay in this box that I've decided you need to be. I have this person who I need you to be because that makes me feel safe. And so if you stay in that box and you shrink yourself, or you curtail yourself, or you just contract who you are to make me feel comfortable because I'm too uncomfortable, I'm not strong enough or courageous enough to get out of my comfort zone to actually give you the freedom to be who you are. So I need you to be X, Y, and Z. And if you do that, then I'll love you. That's conditional love, right? And so, and in those scenarios under conditional love, if the person doesn't give you what you want, now you start punishing them and now you're keeping score. And, that's just a recipe for disaster. Unconditional means I love you without condition. I love you as you are for who you are. And that is unconditional love. And that has to be, the like one of the cornerstones. It has to come first, because conditional love, that's like egoic love. It's not coming from the heart center, it's coming from your ego. And it's coming from fear. And very little solid foundation can ever be built on fear and ego and arrogance and the need to be right. Right. So that absolutely has to be the first one. Okay. So what is the second discipline? The second discipline is the discipline of absolute courage and vulnerability. If you don't have the ability to be vulnerable in your intimate relationship, you can't build intimacy. Intimacy comes with having the courage to be vulnerable, to say things like, I miss you. I love you. I'm concerned that, our sex life has fallen off a little bit. I'm uncomfortable with how your family treats me. I feel like I'm being disrespected. Things like this. Having the ability to be vulnerable and say the things that you need to say, even when you're afraid. And the reason that these are called the 5 disciplines of an extraordinary relationship is because it requires discipline, right? Because when you're triggered, it requires the strength and the discipline to say, I will choose to be courageous right now. I will choose to be vulnerable right now, even though it's outside of my comfort zone, even though it makes me feel really scared, even though I don't know how it's going to turn out. Discipline is required because discipline is what gives you the ability to execute when you don't feel like it, when you're tired and you don't have, like a lot of energy, or you're feeling insecure, or something was triggered from a past relationship that has nothing to do with this relationship, but now because you're triggered, you're thinking it is. So that's why discipline is one of the most, I think, important and valuable traits that you need to create the life of your dreams, because discipline is what takes you across the finish line when you're tired and you don't feel like it and you're unmotivated and you've lost the gumption, the drive, the whatever. Discipline is key. Okay, so the first 2, unconditional love, and then absolute courage and vulnerability. The third one is the discipline of positive intent, which means that in the heat of the moment, when you've been triggered by your partner, they've done something to trigger you. No matter what, you never question their intent. And the reason this is so important is because when you question someone's intent, you are questioning their very character. People are going to trigger you. Your intimate partner is going to be the person who triggers you more than anyone else on the planet, because they're the person who is closest to you. They're the person who you have let down your walls with. So they're going to very innocently trigger you. They're going to do things that trigger you, and that, more than likely they're not even going to know they're triggering you, right? But when you're triggered, you have to have the ability to not all of a sudden go into a reactionary state and start presuming that they had ill intention, presuming that they were being like deceptive, or they have an ulterior motive, or they're being manipulative, whatever. If you love someone and through the building of your connection, they have proven to you to be a trustworthy person who has your back, then when you get triggered, you owe it to them to give them the benefit of the doubt, to say, okay, I may not understand what's going on right now. I'm feeling triggered. I'm not exactly sure where this person's coming from or whatever, but you have to have the discipline to override your triggered reaction and to be able to give that person the benefit of the doubt and assume that they have a pure intention. If you know someone and you know their soul, then you know that they have a pure intention, and they, miscommunications happen. We are not perfect. We are very flawed human beings. And sometimes when we're triggered or we're upset, we're trying to communicate, but we may not communicate in the best way because we ourselves are triggered or fearful or scared or stressed out. You know what I'm saying? But so that's where, in terms of keeping your partner and keeping your relationship in this sacred bubble of, keep that bubble around your connection, your relationship, with a bubble of purity where you give them, where you know each other has pure intentions, and you believe them, and you have the strength and the courage and the backbone to have the discipline to not allow your triggered reactions to override your good judgment and your ability to know that this person has pure intentions for you. Okay, so what's the fourth intention? So the fourth one is honorable language. So this is a big one because I have to be honest with you, I'm appalled sometimes when I hear couples talking to each other and cursing at each other and insulting each other. That is not an emotionally mature adult relationship, to curse at your partner, to insult them. That is adolescent behavior. That is a childish reaction. Listen, you're going to have disagreements, but you don't attack your partner. Enemies attack you. Enemies are the ones who try to cut you down and insult you and things like that. You don't cut down someone you love, ever. I'm not saying you don't curse. I curse all the time. But what I'm saying is, you don't curse at your partner. You don't say, fuck you, go fuck yourself, whatever, you're a bitch, you're a dick, you're an asshole. That is emotionally immature. That is unacceptable. That is not how adults communicate. And it is definitely not how adults communicate with the person who is supposed to be the most important person in their life, the person who's in that sacred connection. So if you are having disrespectful communication with your partners, shame on you. Level up. You don't speak like that. It's unacceptable. It's emotionally immature. You're acting like a child, an adolescent child, when you do that. And your partner deserves more. You deserve and should level up and do, and just be more. That's unacceptable. And, I hear, well, they talk to me like that. Doesn't matter. It comes out of your mouth, theirs is worse, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's unacceptable. Neither party is allowed to curse at each other. Neither party is allowed to attack each other, insult each other, sarcastic put downs, sarcastic jabs. That is mean. It is spiteful. It is small-minded. It is emotionally immature, and it is unacceptable. You have to raise the standard for yourself and your partner, and never allow yourselves to go there, because it is unproductive, it is destructive to your relationship, and it's basically just emotionally immature. So you got to level up, grow up, and, emotionally mature yourselves. Okay, and what's the last one? So the last is the discipline of giving freedom. Love is not about control. Love is not about, if you love me, you'll do what I say. That's not love. That's egoic love. That's like, surface level crap. Authentic love is giving freedom to the person you love to be who they are and to be able to express themselves for who they are, not for who you think they should be. And I've always found it kind of fascinating when you'd hear stories about, like, boyfriends or girlfriends trying to be manipulative or lie to kind of trap someone into getting married or getting pregnant or get someone pregnant to keep them, whatever. I can't fathom how anyone would want something that's not authentic. I would never want someone to be with me who didn't absolutely want to be there. To lie or manipulate, to try to trap someone into being with you, to keep someone to be with you, or to try to guilt them to be with you. I just can't even fathom that, and yet people do it. It's kind of like, I only want someone in my life because they don't want to be anywhere else voluntarily. They love being with me, and, they wouldn't want to be anywhere else. To think that you would guilt someone or like manipulate someone to being with you. I can't even wrap my head around that. And yet people do it, right? So love is about giving freedom, the freedom for that person to be who they are, to express themselves artistically, authentically, in whatever way that means, and stop trying to control. Control is ego. The control is all about the ego. And if you give your partner freedom, that's like infusing oxygen into your relationship. And when you're trying to control your partner, that's like sucking the life out of that person, and it's sucking the life out of your relationship. So if you want a healthy, thriving, loving, expansive relationship, then that relationship needs to be given the freedom and the oxygen to thrive, for each individual to grow as an individual, and then the freedom in the relationship for the two of you to grow together, right? And that's how you build a relationship that is expansive and exciting and is full of life, is freedom. Because freedom infused into your relationship is how your love will grow and blossom. And if in giving that freedom, your partner kind of outgrows you, right? Like, so growth is a real thing. And if there are two people in a relationship and one is a grower and one isn't, more than likely that person's going to outgrow the other person who doesn't want to grow, and it will end. And it should end, because nobody should be stagnant. No one should be anchored to somebody who is stagnated and not growing. We're either growing or dying. And so it's really important. And so if you love your partner and you want to be with your partner, for the rest of your lives together or whatever, then it behooves you, and it would be intelligent of you, to both be committed to growth, to both grow as individuals and then grow in your connection, and to grow in love, deeper levels of love and spiritual connection and sexual connection, and merging all of that. It's being dynamic. Growing together can be the most exciting, like vibrantly alive thing that you can do. And if you're in a dead, stagnant relationship, well, that's stifling. There's no oxygen in that, and it's not really a pleasant experience. So those are the 5 disciplines of an extraordinary relationship: unconditional love, absolute courage and vulnerability, positive intent, honorable language, and to give freedom, right? So those are the 5. I think they're 5 really important ones, and I definitely think that they're worth your investment if you are committed to having an extraordinary relationship. So that's what I wanted to share with you. I hope you found value. If you're not aware, I have a link in the description box for a fundraising page for Operation Underground Railroad. I am an abolitionist. I'm committing to raising $1 million for Operation Underground Railroad to rescue children from human trafficking. It is the fastest growing criminal enterprise on the planet. It's a $150 billion industry. It's horrific, and these children need our love and leadership. So if you felt compelled to donate, it would be thrilling for me if you would do that. Every penny goes to them. I've personally already donated over $16,000 to this organization, and I will continue to do so as I build my channel. Have a beautiful day, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.